told you about last weekend. The fallout has cost 6 agents their jobs, and a 12th has now been implicated. I want to focus in on some of the heroics, though, of the agents over the years. So let me bring you back to that day that changed everything for the Secret Service, November 22nd, 1963.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
That was the report by CBS correspondent Walter Cronkite as he announced that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. Most Americans who are old enough remember exactly where they were at that very moment. This is especially true for my next guest. Clint Hill was there that day as a member of the President's Secret Service detail. You can see him here in these pictures. When the shots rang out over Dealey Plaza, he was the first to reach the President and the First Lady. Clint Hill, we are honored to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Since President Kennedy's assassination, you have rarely done any interviews, but now you've actually released a new memoir, Mrs. Kennedy and Me, about the 4 years that you spent as First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy's Secret Service agent. Why release this now? Any significance to the timing?
Well, I vowed I never would write a book or contribute to a book. The timing is just such that I'm not getting any younger. And I was convinced by Lisa McCubbin, who helped me write the book, that I had information that was historical and should be documented. Other people came to me and said the same thing. So I thought it was time to write something down and pay tribute to a wonderful lady.
What can you tell us about the Mrs. Kennedy that we may not know?
Well, many people don't know that she was extremely intelligent. She was very athletic. She was an accomplished horsewoman. She loved to water ski, loved to play tennis, play golf. She was a very hands-on mother. She wanted her 2 children, Caroline and John, to grow up as normal young children as possible. I always thought, and I knew that that was impossible since it would always be the children of president. But that's what she wanted, and that's what she was like. She had a wonderful sense of humor, and she was very devoted to her husband. And he was very devoted to her, and they made a great couple.
I want to take you back to November 1963. You had an incredibly tough time there in those years after that assassination. Can you talk about what you went through, what you were dealing with emotionally at that time?
Well, because of the way the situation developed in Dallas that day, I was in the car right behind the president's car. And when the shots rang out from the right rear, I scanned to my right toward the shots, and so I saw what happened in the presidential vehicle. The other agents scanned toward the noise, so their eyes went away from the presidential vehicle. They didn't see what happened. And so I reacted. I was the only one who had a chance to react, and I always had a sense of responsibility and felt a sense of guilt that I wasn't able to do more. I thought I should have been able to get up on that car and shield President and Mrs. Kennedy from any further damage, but I was unable to get there in time.
You were in the follow-up car, correct?
It ate me over the years. Yes, I was in the follow-up car on the running board on the left-hand side in the front. My responsibility that day was Mrs. Kennedy.
I want to play you a clip now from an interview that you did with 60 Minutes back in 1975. Let's listen to this.
Was there anything that the Secret Service or that Clint Hill could have done to keep that from happening?
Clint Hill, yes.
Clint Hill, yes? What do you mean?
If he had reacted about 0.5 of a second faster, or maybe a second faster, I wouldn't be here today.
You mean you would have gotten there and you would have taken the shot?
The 3rd shot, yes, sir.
And that would have been all right with you?
That would have been fine with me.
But you couldn't. You got there in less than 2 seconds, Clint. You couldn't have gotten there. You surely don't have any sense of guilt about that.
Well, that interview was 12 years after the assassination. It's been more than 30 years since that interview and nearly 50 years since the president's assassination. So stay with us, because after the break, Clint, I'd like to ask you if you still feel the same way, and if you still feel that you are in part to blame. I want to talk a little bit more about that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're back now with Clint Hill. He is the former Secret Service agent who will forever be remembered as the man who jumped on the limousine after John F. Kennedy was shot in an attempt to shield the president and the First Lady. Mr. Hill, in the years after the president's assassination, you have said that you feel guilty about not taking a bullet for the president and feel that you could have done more. Do you still think today, looking back, that you could have done more?
Well, I'll always have that sense of guilt and responsibility because I was the only one who had a chance that day. I did come back to Dealey Plaza in 1990 and walk the area and examine the situation. And I did come to the conclusion that I did everything I could have done given the circumstances that existed at the time of the first shot. The first shot was free, and we only had a chance to react after that shot was fired.
And have you worked through some of the guilt for not being able to save the president and not taking the bullet for him, as you said you wished you could have done?
Well, the guilt will always be there, but yes, the writing of the book, Mrs. Kennedy and Me, has helped me a great deal because I've relived the situation and have gone through it again and have talked to people about it, and it's been very cathartic to go through that process.
I'm curious, how do you find the courage? You know, most of us, we come to work every day. We don't put our lives on the line. So how do you and those in the Secret Service today find the courage, find the nerve to be willing to take a bullet for someone else?
Well, I guess it was just the discipline we had and everything else. We certainly weren't in it for the money. We were there to do a job on behalf of the American people to provide protection to the leadership of the United States and to keep them as safe as we possibly could, but provide an environment in which they could function and do the job as they were elected to do.
And what is it today that you would like the public to know about the Secret Service?
That the men and women of the Secret Service today are similar to the ones that I worked with back in the 1960s and 70s. They're dedicated, they're determined, and what happened, or what allegedly happened recently, I hope will not cause people to have bad feelings about the agents of the Secret Service, because they are a dedicated, determined group of individuals, and they work extremely hard, do the best job they can. I hope that everyone will remember that as they go about and see the president or any other protectee throughout the country.
Are you at all surprised by the current scandal unfolding in Colombia with the Secret Service members allegedly involved with prostitutes there?
I was shocked to hear it, and I don't know any more about it than what I've heard in the media, but I was shocked. I have great confidence in the Director Sullivan, because I know he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. After the investigation is concluded, he'll take the appropriate action, and the situation will be clarified. How
do you think this is being handled within the Secret Service right now? I mean, what do you think some of the conversations are that are going on?
Well, I'm sure that everyone is extremely disappointed if what the allegations are proven to be true. But I do know that the top management, from Director Sullivan on down, they're going to take charge of the situation, and it will be those people who are involved or allegedly involved will be dealt with probably very severely, more than likely, and so be it. That's what has to be done.
Clint Hill, it has been a great pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you so much for your heroic efforts all those years ago, and congratulations on your new book, Mrs. Kennedy and Me. I look forward to it.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. The fallout from the Secret Service